Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys for joining us once again. Coming on a little bit earlier today. There's lots of things going on, and yesterday we got cut off in the middle of this show, and multiple times we got cut off. But thank you guys for sticking with us.
Thanks for sticking with us a whole bunch. Appreciate it. How's everybody today? Sorry, kids.
Okay. Technical malfunction on Cindy's phone.
Yeah.
There we go. How are you guys feeling? How's everybody doing out there? How does it feel to you guys out there today?
Yeah, I mean, my mood is like I would if I had to give it a grade, it's like a C- today. Like very little melancholy-ish.
Yeah, I got that same thing. You know, it's not even an ominous. It's more of a, it's kind of like you just found out that your favorite aunt or uncle, is like terminal or something.
Yeah.
It's that type of feeling. I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but it kind of feels like that.
Yeah, it does. It feels a little terminal, like something's coming up, something's coming down the pipes. You don't quite know what, but you brace for it.
Yeah, melancholy. That's exactly it. Quast says melancholy. Yeah, it feels melancholy. I mean, it's a beautiful day out. We should be outside having fun, enjoying ourselves. But really, all I've done so far is QiGong and some meditation where I was having a hard time focusing too. And I think Cindy was feeling the same way.
Definitely a hard time focusing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bulletproof Monk says daughter came home from school, said her teacher's kid's in hospital with flu. Since Tuesday, fever has broke, but the kid can't walk yet.
Wow.
Yeah, dragon butt, no energy. Okay, nuclear quantum lasers is okay, and we won't go into the details there. David Lutz says, who thinks it's the last days? Well, do you think, and this is something else I was going to go into, but maybe the next one. Do you think the Neanderthals gathered together and said, guys, it's the last days? Or the Denisovans? Or the Australopithecus or the Ramapithecus and all these different human trees that all of a sudden just stopped on a dime, and they're gone. Mm-hmm. And then there's a new one, walking the earth, a new dominant one. Do you think they had prophecies of last days?
I feel like they had something. I feel like they had story times or something a little bit like what we have.
Yeah, everybody seems to be dragging butt today. It's interesting. The first thing that popped up this morning when I was just starting to look at things, Arwayne Steiger did a live, and he has gone down a different path than he used to, and changed his opinion on a lot of things. And it was an interesting live, most definitely for sure. And I just felt the impulse. I reached out to him and said, hey, we should do a live together, or we should do a show together. He said, sure, just email me and we'll set it up. So, again, yeah, right? That's what I mean. Yeah, nuclear quantum lasers saying, dinosaurs chatting about, hey, that light keeps getting brighter in the sky. I wonder if it's the gods coming, or whatever their gods were, Yeah, Zeke is way down too. Brother Zeke up in Canada. Yeah, Jerry, you're right. I mean, that's what we're, well, even before March, that part of March, I think we'll be seeing that. Okay, so Slung Under says, I think they're playing with your sound. It seems to be popping in and out. Does anybody else get that? And yeah, a lot of people talking about the Dana Ashley video. Mild headache. Sift has. Yeah, I look forward to talking to Arwayne. He's interesting, and I love the fact that he's changed his perspective on things, and somebody that can change your perspective as you go along. That's somebody that's a big person, and we should be able to grow and all. So this comes to mind, as soon as I watched. It was BP. BP came on and talked about the comet. So right off the bat, there's different things that come to my mind right away. I'm so indoctrinated with Nostradamus since childhood. So here we see, this is Century 2 and Quatrain 62. Mavis will soon die. And everybody's had different thoughts on Mavis. Ma, Bush, was it, Barbara Bush, and or is it the USA, because you could get USA, and then people had thought maybe it's Obama because we got Ma and a B there. And then, Ray Mabus, who was, he's been up in top political echelons in various things. He's been an ambassador as well as other functions. And so many people thought, well, it's got to be Ray Mabus, because there is a Ray Mabus there in the U.S. Military and Navy, and ambassador as well. So Mabus will soon die. Then there will come of people and beasts a horrible rout. Then suddenly one will see vengeance. 100 hands thirst hunger when the comet shall run. So, that's one of the things when I see things going crazy in the world, I say, well, is there a comet? And if there is a comet, then I pay a little more attention. If there's not a comet, then I'm usually like, well, this will probably be something that'll pass by, hopefully. And, comets have always been thought of as bringing a lot of times bad omens. And so this comet, C2019 Y4, is called Atlas. And so it's really curious that it's called Atlas, because, again, the symbology of things. Who's Atlas? Well, Atlas was the Titan god who bore the sky aloft. He personified the quality of endurance. He was the leader of the Titans in their war against Zeus. And after their defeat, he was condemned to carry the heavens upon his shoulders. And man, I've dug into the wars of the Titans and the elder gods time and time again. Here you see there's the snake about to bite him in the butt. It's fascinating. Who were the Titans? Who were the elder gods? What's the real mythos here? What's it representing? Thoughts, Cindy?
I don't know, but it is one way to gauge the world stuff is to look and see what's going on, and then if you have a comet coming, well then you better pay attention. And yeah, I know, I love how they name these after the gods. It does, it gives you a little more to do, a little more to read into, a little more understanding as far as what things are.
Oh, it's such a tangled web. It's such a tangled web, and so much of the world is just, is conditioned into one small mindset without seeing all the other mythos, all the other histories, all the other legends. And that enables people to get totally controlled and not see what's really coming. So that was fascinating, though, that they would call it Atlas, a Titan again. Curious, and they say it's either a part of or related to the Great Comet of 1844.
Thank you. Miss Judy K., we love you too. Thank you so much.
So, it's related to or perhaps a part of the Great Comet of 1844. And it seems to be brightening. So we'll see. If this thing does brighten and become a visible to the naked eye comet, then perhaps we really are on a huge roller coaster right now. And thank you, Judy. That's so sweet. Thank you for your support. And then this one we talked about before. This is 955. The horrible war which is being prepared in the West, the following year will come the pestilence, so very horrible that young, old, nor beast, blood, fire, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and France. And is this that pestilence? That's, part of the other thought, so there's all different prophecies. And when you start to compare them, you do see there's a lot of similarities. Doesn't matter if we're talking, Hopi, if we're talking biblical, if we're talking Nostradamus, talking Casey, there's countless ones. And we had touched on some coming out of Islam as well. There's a lot of similarities, a real lot of similarities. And so it's really interesting to see.
Wow.
Mary says Neanderthals never existed. Well, we got their DNA. How could you say that? Of course Neanderthals existed. Denisovans did too. So did Homo habilis, Homo erectus. It goes on and on. We have a lot of skulls. We have tons of evidence. We have DNA. So there's been a lot of different humans on the family tree. But then we still have people that, only know one story. And so their minds are very, very closed, unfortunately. So here we see the U.S. confirms 53 CV cases. I caught myself. Including evacuated cruise passengers, as we see. And so the CDC says, let's see, we got 39 evacuees from the virus hit Diamond Princess and the Chinese city of Wuhan at the center of the outbreak, obviously. The CDC says 14 other cases were patients in California, Illinois, Massachusetts, Washington State, Arizona, Wisconsin. The agency previously reported Friday that there were 13 cases in the country and 21 among repatriated Americans. Now, we know that's absolute bunk. And, if we look at what President Trump has to say, he says the coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. We are in contact with everyone in all relevant countries. CDC and World Health have been working hard and very smart. Oh God, it always sounds like he's talking to like third graders. It just does. The way he talks. It's just like you're talking to little kids. Stock market's starting to look very good to me. Yeah, it's down like 1,000 points. There's a collapse underway as far as economically, and that's only going to increase. So we see 833 in South Korea now, 691 others, 230 in Italy. So it's exploding in Italy. 159 in Japan. How could Italy be ahead of Japan? It's kind of curious. And then we're only seeing 61 in Iran, but they're not reporting numbers. And they've stated that. They're not going to report numbers. So we also have 79 in Hong Kong, which is definitely low. There's a lot of these countries are just falsifying things, completely falsifying.
They are. Yeah, that's a little redonkulous with Trump getting on there and saying, oh, yeah, everything's under control here, when we see, what was it, Italy? Their shelves are bare. And these people making face plants, like some people in the chat room are saying, the people breaking the fall with their face. That's not okay. It doesn't feel like it's under control. And the stock market down 1,000 points. So, but, part of his job too is to try to rein people in, try to help keep the calm. But that doesn't make me feel calm when I feel like he doesn't know what's going on.
Well, I think he knows what's going on, but then he also said there were no injuries with the bombing that Iran did. And then it turns out there was plenty of injuries and a lot of people having traumatic brain injuries. And again, how do we know that there weren't troops that were killed there? That later on, it's it's saying, sorry, Mr. Smith, your son died in Afghanistan. Yeah, he was stationed in Afghanistan, but was he stationed in Afghanistan? Or somewhere else, or there was an accident. So, that's the bottom part of that. So he's trying to prop up the stock market is what he's doing, and trying to keep people calm as it's starting to go out of control, really. And this just boggles the mind. So the WHO says it no longer uses pandemic category, but virus still emergency. So the WHO, the World Health Organization, no longer uses classification pandemic? Since when? And so, but they still say that it's the CV is international emergency and likely to spread farther. New cases, Iran, Italy, South Korea. China relaxed restrictions on movement in several places, including Beijing, as its rates of new infections eased. At least that's what they tell us. And, watching that really, really carefully. Super carefully, just because I'm super suspicious, because I don't know who, let this out. It seems there was an awful lot of evidence that China let it out, either whoopsies or on purpose. But, it could have been somebody else as well. We don't know that. And then when we look at how badly Iran's getting hit, that makes you suspicious as well. But there again, how many times have we watched a movie, right? And there's a crooked cop, right? And then the crooked cop, in like a scene towards the end, goes and shoots himself, and and meanwhile is in cahoots with the other guy, the bad guy. So he shoots himself to make it look good. Yeah. And then says, "Oh, he got control of me. He took my gun. He shot me. He went off that way. You could catch him quick." Is there a little of that going on here, if you know what I mean?
A little good cop, bad cop, a little crooked this. And yeah, I mean, it always seems like nothing is as it seems. When that one date happened, I don't even want to say it, starts with a 9 in September. That was so many different leads to so many different places. And this feels like the same thing. Feels like, death by 1,000 cuts. They're kind of hitting one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, but nothing really quite comes together and quite makes sense. But if you pile things together like alchemy, it starts to make sense a little bit.
So, Amy, I think, asked a really good question, and that is, does Iran have FIVEG? And I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I may be wrong. So, because we were talking about that, and we were wondering if that was, the big thing, the thing that's causing it to be, almost like a nerve agent at times. So, interesting. I don't believe they do. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. That's something to research, for sure. So if we just scope ourselves out, you see that Italian blob is getting big. That red dot's growing in Italy. And the one in Iran should be probably much, much larger. I think right now Iran's getting it the second worst. It seems like it. And that was President Trump, and this is crazy. Coronavirus. Okay. California home quarantines jumped to 8,000. That's what they're saying to us. 8,000 now in California under voluntary home quarantines. So, across the country, tens of thousands, obviously, it would seem. It's curious. It really, really is curious.
Oh, yeah, Judy K. and another person told me 60 megahertz on the cruise ship. And it's coming from the sky. So that's really curious. How are you supposed to duck and cover that if it's being beamed down to you and you're just being bathed in it, and that messes with your energy body? It messes with your immune system. And I think that has a lot to do with a lot of stuff too. But then if Iran doesn't have it, then where does that leave us? Then we got to look back at the virus again, So it's like, what the heck? But everything, it'll reveal itself. Everything is going to reveal itself. It's just happening so slow.
Six String says that they have the FIVEG infrastructure, but not the final platform. The entire world has the infrastructure, hardware, antennas, etc. Must test. Well, I mean, if all the infrastructure's in there, I wonder if somebody turned something on. So interesting. Very, very interesting that we're seeing here. So California quarantines, and over here we see an outbreak, and the hospital did not follow the correct protocols. This is in Italy. We cannot predict the progress of the virus. We're continuing with the utmost caution. So there was a hospital in Como, Italy, where death had just occurred. Tells us the staff were only wearing masks, no protective suits. Masks were also stolen from the depot. We are worried. Wow. I think it's going to hit a lot of places, unfortunately, hard. And I wanted to show this. We were getting so much from Harry Chen, and they shut him down. Twitter suspends accounts which violate the Twitter rules. Wow. Just another one. Thank you, Mickey, the Iron Worker. We appreciate your support. Okay, he's had bad breathing problems and kidney pains the other day. Took some meds, feels better. Hope I'm not spreading. I hope you are feeling better. Definitely take precautions. Boost your immune system.
Yeah, boost your immune system. And also someone asked in the chat if the Qigong helps with the energy body. Absolutely. It will help strengthen that energy body so that it makes it harder for things to penetrate going through. That's something that Michael and I do. We do that every day. Every day we work on that Qigong and the energy body, the mantras, the meditation, because it helps. It honest to goodness, truly, truly helps. And I would highly recommend that for everybody.
Thank you, Kirsten. That's really sweet. We love you too, and we love everybody out there. We want to help you guys, get ready for whatever comes, because there's so many things that are going on right now. And it does feel like this is a culling of sorts. I don't think there's any other way to look at it, really. Ray Ray's in the house. See Ray Ray. Yeah, Italy has FIVEG. Starseed says, Fulin Qigong any better than other types? I don't think there's any one better type. I think it's whatever feels good to you and it feels right to you. And there's different parts of Qigong that may be more important to a person at different times. So we always do basically the 8 pieces of brocade with purgation. So we always start with purgation, which is just basically, it's just getting rid of stagnant energy. It's about 4 movements we use all the time. That's first. Then we go into the 8 pieces of brocade, which opens up the primary meridians, so the energy flows to the organs. And then we do standing meditation, or Zhang Zhuang, which gathers energy from both the cosmos above through the crown chakra and also through the feet and into the root chakra. And then we will circulate that energy as well. So, please do check out the videos I have up. There's a whole playlist on meditation and Qigong, and we will make some more of those as well if Cindy will be my assistant for that and help us out there. Mark Perez says colloidal or nano silver. We do colloidal, and Cindy feels strongly about that. There's something, and thank you, Henry. Thank you for your support. Yeah, exactly. And we just got a solar water heater. Thank you to one of our family members that we kind of worked with on it. And so we have a solar water heater, which is cool. We do have an inverter generator, which I bought about a year ago. And we do have only one solar panel on the camper. And so we're going to have to get more. And we have a decision to make, because we actually have 2 different offers to juggle as far as land right now. And we're trying to figure out which one or either to take right now. And so we're a little confused. We're really looking for guidance from within. But thank you, Henry, because, here's what's going to happen. I think right now, looking at what's going on, I could see a huge economic collapse coming. Yeah. Huge. And so, like talking about us, I'd like to have the land to start growing stuff on, but I realize that the value might drop in half by the time this thing is done. But at the same time, it's good to have the land to grow on. And to start, because, guys, we're going to need to grow our own food. That's what's coming.
Yeah. When you weigh everything out and you prioritize everything, you got to make food the priority. But still, there's still a lot of things to consider. We don't have everything completely planned out. We are not completely ready. We could get by for 6 months. We could probably stretch it for a year, but would be nice to have live food.
Yeah, because we have been eating, like the last week, we've only had one meal every day, and Cindy's grabbed a few nuts and raisins here and there, but that's all I've had is exactly one meal. So like yesterday, I had a bowl of lentils and a salad, and that was it. So probably 600 calories, maybe, that's about it. Very, very used to that now. Honestly, very, very used to that. And I don't feel like I need to eat any more than once a day. Honestly, I have plenty of energy. I'm not dragging, and my blood sugar's fine. I never feel any sort of blood sugar spikes. Quast says they're down to one. Otcast, okay. Says they're down to one meal a day too. I actually kind of feel better that way. It's just kind of lighter, and it just feels good. It just feels good. And plus, if we're gonna be in these situations, then I feel like I'm prepped for it. It's kind of like getting prepped for it. So with what we have, if we weren't supporting the rest of the family, like if it doesn't get to the point where the kids and the grandkids are, like, oh, we didn't prep, or we didn't, and we're hungry, then we could probably go a year and a half, or I would say, on what we have. Easy.
Yeah. And well, I do. Michael does. We believe in the Hopi prophecy. Absolutely. There is a lot to be looked at there. Love the Hopi prophecies. Love, the Native Americans. And we were just talking about that area the other day.
Well, and again, the thing is, when you look at the Hopi and you look at the Dogon and you look at the Australian Aborigines and you take in the legends of the Cherokee, and then you could go and look at all these other sources, they're all kind of telling us the same thing. It's not like one tradition has the lock on prophecy. There's prophecies from all different traditions. It's everybody has seen these times. Mm-hmm. Now, is that because of the collective consciousness? Or is it kind of orchestrated and seeded into our consciousness? That's something to consider as well. So the censorship keeps going up. So Twitter suspended Harry's, and he was sharing a ton of stuff that nobody else had. So much of what you've seen, has come through him. From Twitter, there's a lot of good other sources, but man, this is Jennifer Zhang. 5 buses and more than a dozen cars full of police arriving at Yang Yan Tian district. Don't know why, and you won't know why now. Because it's still lockdown. They are trying to get people to go back to work, and there's a lot of people protesting. They don't want to go back to work. But at the same time, it's getting to the point where the economies are going to start to absolutely collapse. And it would be only a matter of time, with that type of collapse before the governments have people rebelling directly on them.
Mickey, the iron worker, says, I'm scared. None of my neighbors don't prep. You know, we're in a little bit sort of this similar situation because people aren't taking it as seriously as we'd like them to. They're around us. We're really hoping that they're going to pick up the pace, but that's where you really have to take responsibility for yourself. Do what you can for yourself. Work around yourself. You know, just you really have to rely on yourself, and that sucks in times like this. Like until the others wake up, you're towing the line.
Yeah, so where we are now is a little town. How many kids would you say are in that school total?
A couple hundred.
Yeah? Okay. So yeah, there's somewhere between 100, 200 kids, in that school. So and this is it's a little town. It actually looks like you're in a third world town if you walk through here.
Yeah.
And that's the way mining towns are. They're just, they're transient by nature. And when there's, gold and things like that to be found, and people come in and they work it. And then the other big group that's around here is contractors that are working for the military on the secret bases. So that's what's here. And I think the contractors, because we've seen a few act in a very, very concerned way, wouldn't you say?
We have. One of them was really specific with me when I was talking to him about this whole CV issue. He told me to pay attention to the trade deal in China.
Yeah, he thought that this was related to that. And this is a contractor, somebody that was special forces and spent a lot of time in other countries, and that's all this person knows. So here we see, this is what we were seeing before in China. Now you got somebody in Iran that just face planted down. I just, it boggles the mind, so to speak. I don't think we've seen people with flu go to the store or go and do whatever they're doing, and then all of a sudden realize I can't take another step and just pass out. This is something different. There's something really different about this. And now we haven't just seen it in China. We've seen it in Iran. We saw it in South Korea, Hong Kong. That tells me that, most definitely this is something that's super intensely strong with certain people. And thank you, Henry Brown. Thank you for your support. Yeah, 50 hours left from that 96 hours. I just ordered a couple little things. Bulk popcorn, guys. I found a good source of organic popcorn. It was pretty cheap, and got like 6 pounds of popcorn just for something, to snack on. For movie night. Yeah. And then, another 2 bags of rice, just because we've gotten into the habit. And, I just think that it makes sense, to play for the long haul here as well.
Yes. And all you can do is what you can do. So, I mean, anything that you can do, do it. Don't think that it's too little. Don't think that it's too small, because any act of prepping right now is an act of love for your family, even if they don't believe you, even if they're like laughing at you. It doesn't really matter. That doesn't matter. What does matter is when it's time, you have done enough little small acts of love to help sustain them, and you'll be more okay for doing that than not doing that.
Okay, Starseed. She just brought up a really good thing to bring up here. They know the time is short for a magnetic reversal and pulling out all kinds of insanity on the world stage. All the world's a stage. Get some popcorn, most definitely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay, so that's the thing I keep forgetting to bring up to you guys. Please, everybody that has a way of checking, check and keep track of the movement of where the poles are right now. Because I got like about 4 or 5 people that check it almost every single day. They do check it every day. And they're telling me the earth is wobbling like crazy. Like it's literally moving 20 degrees one way, swinging back 20 degrees another is what they're getting. So Thank you, Chuck. Thank you so much. Anybody that could, please check that, because the pole is flat. I think you've been having too much of that silly stuff. So there's other stuff going on as well, most definitely, than just this. Not that this is not enough. So now, in Iran, we see people just passing out, dropping down. Sometimes, these people have looked like they're no longer breathing often. And this is what we were showing, and now this is everywhere. It looks like it's growing in Italy. That's disconcerting. And, recognizing that the majority of people haven't prepped. The majority of people probably have less than a week's food in their, pantry. Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh, that's not good. That's not going to be good long term. And here, this is Italy again. No face mask there. No gloves. You got some people that have face masks, but still people are walking around without face masks, as if there's nothing going on except for the fact that there's no food to be had.
Yeah, that's quite concerning, and we could be looking at that here too.
We will be.
Not too long from now, but I am really curious to watch this play out. It's like a huge play, and I'm so glad Michael got popcorn, because it's going to be interesting. I'm just kind of watching this and watching it unfold. And again, Michael said it's like a huge slow motion train wreck.
It definitely is. So, yeah, somebody said it could be a psyop. I've seen quite a few of these videos come through now. So I don't think it's a psyop. I mean, Italy is heading into lockdown. Northern Italy is locked down. Bahrain reports first case of coronavirus in citizen returning from Iran. And over here, just underneath it, you see Kuwait reports 3 cases who traveled to Iran. So I got to ask again, guys, what's up with Iran? And when you look at this, somebody else was saying PNAC, Project for New American Century, and I say kudos. Because you're watching what's going on, although China wasn't mentioned in PNAC, but Iran most definitely was. And of course, China and Russia are the power, behind these little countries that were part of the PNAC. So it's interesting. Why would China and Iran be hit so hard? And then, I think about the Hopi prophecy as well, because the Hopi prophecy says that the U.S. Well, I mean, the only way you can look at it is it's a nuclear strike on the U.S. by what they call the ancient countries that received the first light, which would be like China for one, Iran for another.
Thank you, Zeke in Canada. He says some of us are completely alone in small towns with no spouses or family. How many are like this? So yeah, that is problematic, but thank God right now we do have our internet and we can connect that way to sort of keep each other sane, keep each other so we don't feel so super alone. It's just really important to stay in touch with your loved ones or people like you.
And reach out to each other. Take the time when you're in these chats too. I love it when you guys say, hey, Mississippi here. Hey, Toronto here. And let each other know where you're from. And then, try to build a friendship and see about connecting, and we'll try to do more with that as well. We do have a, what was it called? Discord. Although it wasn't working for me yesterday. I got to check with Scott and see what's up with that. But there's been so many interruptions as well. So Hector Torres now is doing a really good job because he's been focusing a lot on Iran over there as well. So interesting. China has issued a travel warning for the United States, warning Chinese tourists that they have faced mistreatment and accusing the U.S. of overreacting to the CV outbreak. There's a lot of animosity there. And what Cindy had said about the contractor saying, look when this all happened right at the trade agreement. there's a much bigger thing going on there too. And here we see the median duration for the onset of symptoms to radiological confirmation of pneumonia was 5, so in between 3 and 7 days, meaning that early or repeated radiological examinations are useful in screening patients with the SARS-CoV-2 pneumonia. But then again, we also saw that once you have it, you could come down with it again and again and again, which makes you think that maybe it never actually even leaves the body when you get down to it, just like HIV or with Lyme's. So here you see a picture of a subway in Tehran, and this is why. Look how close together people are, and this guy doesn't have a mask on. Now they say it goes through the eyes. Nobody's got eye cover on, so does that mean that we're going to see for every one that's contaminated now 6 to 8 more come down? Good possibility. And so here you see journalists being told they can't film near the entrance to a hospital at Isfahan in Iran, and you have CV patients being transferred there as well. And then a lot of people think that this is absolutely just BS. And so this is Deep State Exposed. Stage drill demonstrating how opponents of CCP will be labeled as infected and then taken to internment camps. They caught him with a butterfly net. Oh my God.
That was nice.
I don't know if that's nice, but they caught him with a butterfly. Okay, let's see what you got. Okay, 98.6. Oh, wait a minute. I said 103.6. Get him. He made a post on Twitter saying the president is a jerk. That wasn't me. I swear it wasn't me. So, there, yeah.
That's cheesy. That's cheesy.
It is, isn't it? It's crazy. So, this is from the WHO. For the moment, we are not witnessing the uncontained global spread of the CV. We are not witnessing large-scale severe disease or death. Does this virus have pandemic potential? Absolutely. Are we there yet? From our assessment, not yet. That's Dr. Tedros. What do you guys think?
Oh, does it have the potential? Absolutely. But we're not there yet. That's interesting that they say that.
Hi, Julie. White porcelain. Yeah, it's like they're going to wait until it's, it's everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah, they're just waiting. Wages World in the house. Good to see you. R.A. Beavers, yes. And interesting, because we're getting closer to that year. 2021 is so close. And, I was reading an article somewhere, and, we can't get to watch every video because literally hundreds come in every day. Look this, look at that, look at this, look at that. We can't get through them all. But I did read an article where somebody was saying that this is not going to be just any old thing, because it is, the manifestation of that agenda, which is still in play, 2021.
Right. So it's like a buildup of things. And right now, we have each other. We have time to boost our immune systems and keep looking forward to being grateful is a really good way to raise your vibration. Just be grateful for all the time that we've been given to boost our immune systems. I mean, compared to what certain other countries have had, zero, nada, zilch. We have time to get healthy, you guys. I mean, I am so grateful for that. I can't tell you how good that makes me feel. I'm really sad for the ones in that other place. But we can do something now.
Desi Leaper says his girlfriend doesn't think it's real. Well, people are really dying. I think that's obvious. The crematoriums are really going full-fledged. what it is. Was it manufactured? Is it more than just this CV virus, right? It might very well be much more than that. There could be a lot of other factors going in because, why is it so mild in some cases, but the people that go to the hospital, 61.5% of them don't make it? Why is that? So it's curious. We see Spain reports third case of coronavirus from a doctor in Italy. So, it most definitely is taking on a pandemic look. And this is James Woods, who's always outspoken. The fact that America is on a separate continent has protected it from military invasion and disease pandemics. Interesting that he puts those two things together. Interesting, because, as I've told you guys, I've had those dreams, and I would not be surprised if one of these goes with the other. Notable exception was from young men returning from European war, Spanish flu. If we don't secure our borders starting now, we are insane, so says James Woods. So he's calling for America to seal their borders. And somebody else, I forget who it was just bringing up, do you think America will seal its border? I think as we go deeper into this, I think most countries are going to have borders sealed. And is that part of the bigger picture as well? And just more empty shelves that we see in Italy. So, take heed, guys. Get ready and make sure you got. Well, the government said 6 months, so I think that's the bottom end of it is 6 months, and that's why I have a whole bunch of different spices. Yeah. So we could have Thai rice, Chinese rice, Japanese rice, Indian rice, Mexican rice.
And enjoy the company you're with, too. That's a good idea.
And here we see South Korea, 8 deaths, 833 confirmed cases. And you can see just how exponential the growth is. Boom! That's just, wow. And that's Dr. Ian McKay there. And here you see people, boy, these people are moving like they're sedated or what have you.
Yeah, they are. They do look ill.
They do.
They're not the ones that are running super fast.
And they're coughing. I mean, they got their hands up to their mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's disconcerting. And so China reportedly using WeChat and Twitter to find and silence people sharing information. No doubt. That's out of The Verge. Don't have any doubt at that. So the World Bank launches first ever pandemic bonds to support $500 million pandemic emergency financing facility. And so, I just started to look into, I've done it before, and I made a video on the IMF and the World Bank and taxes. And that video got stopped at 86 views for like a year and a half, 2 years. 86 views. It never changed, even when people were making comments. It never changed. It always stayed. And was it you that said 86? Somebody said to me, well, you know what 86 it means. It's like, yeah, it's off the menu. Yeah. In other words, they iced it. Yep. Because they don't want people talking about how the world really runs.
Yeah, that's the term we used in the restaurant or the casino. He was 86. Tossed out. Yeah, that's very, very significant, I think. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's really good that we do have the internet so we can research all these little innuendos, like the number 86. And there's a lot of this, undertone symbolism going on too, it feels like.
Oh yeah, there most definitely is. So this is curious. And here we see Harvard professor, this is Mark Lipsitch, says 40 to 70% of people worldwide are going to be infected with CV-19. 40 to 70% of the entire globe is going to be infected with this. And he's from Harvard. And of course, Harvard and Yale, we look at those. We obviously know Yale, Skull and Crossbones Society, Harvard as well. Anybody, that comes out of Harvard as well, I would be a little bit curious about, because, this is where so many of the powers that be come out of, Harvard and Yale, the Ivy League schools. So he says it's not going to be containable, and 40 to 70% of the world's going to get infected with this. The professor clarifies this doesn't mean all those victims will become seriously ill, and that many will have mild disease or maybe asymptomatic. So that's pretty wild. And makes me think of Deagle, guys. But Deagle's different because, Deagle, it's only the NATO countries and the U.S. and the U.S. allies that lose tremendous populations, not the other countries. So I don't think it's really talking about this, so to speak. To me, that's always looked like that's a war, and that's one of those devastating first strikes that there's really not much of a response to. Canada confirms 2 new CV cases. White House reportedly weighs retaliation against Beijing for expelling the Wall Street Journal reporters. So there still is a little war going on behind the scenes between China and the U.S., that's for sure. And it's interesting to follow all this. And here the CV-19 contagion sparks carnage as stocks wipe out all 2020 gains. And if this lasts for a long time, then we definitely are going to be looking at a major financial collapse. Major collapse.
Yeah, I mean, things, they're not going to be able to do the shipping. They're not going to be able to do any trading, food. I mean, things are going to change. They'll be different. And that's why I think it's really important to get as self-sustaining as possible where you're at right now.
And as ambient AC says, and that's the case. I agree totally. It is a front. Most definitely it's a front for that. And so it's a way, here's the thing, these powers that be, the true powers that be, they understand the law of karma, right? So what do? They have to tell us what they're going to do. It's all got to be out there in writing. And so it is. It's all out there. And somehow it helps them mitigate the karma, or, whether there are galactic police, so to speak, true, maybe we're truly talking about the true angelic realm, so to speak, by putting things out there in the open so that people have to figure things out for themselves. They're not infringing on free will, and thus they don't get their butts kicked by the galactic police, whatever that looks like. Whether we're talking archangels or devas or something, out there. But any way you look at it, they put it all out there. It's out there. Maybe that's part of the whole prophecy thing. It's just putting it out there for those that are awake to figure out.
Right. That would be the thing to do, and it is our choice whether we choose to wake up and see these things or not. So that's your free will. And it's like seeing into different layers of information. Information has just many layers, and I think it depends on how awake you are, how well you can see through the veil sometimes.
Yeah, and as Eddie's saying, we don't consent anyway. That's what we have to do. We have to scream we don't consent, and we have to make real change. I think a lot of people thought they were making real change by putting Trump in. But when you look closer and you see the ties and you see, why would we think we're going to get anything different with another billionaire? If we want to make a change, we got to get away from putting only people that have power and all these connections in power, because they're part of the good old boy network. They're all part of the good old boy network, Well,
I know for me personally, because I was in that, I was asleep back then, and my hope was, and other people that I knew was that he had his own money, therefore he couldn't be bought and paid for. But now we have found out that there was plenty of deals made behind the scenes to save his butt so he could later turn around and help others.
Well, it was his bankruptcy dealings with the Rothschilds that bailed him out. So that's all been out now in the open, although I know not everybody knows that. But yeah, and that's the guy that he put in there. He appointed, and was a banker for the Rothschilds for 23 years. And the terminology too, should we let him just sink right now? No. He's got value. Let's put him in the bank for later. And then we could use them. So, that's part of this, and are the Rothschilds nice? Honestly, I've told you guys I worked for... Oh, no. Why would I think that, Kelly? Kelly Sargent says, very disappointed. So you think the Democrats are better? Hell no. They're two sides of the same coin. If we got to get people to realize that. And there again, why do you think there's only two choices? Why is it only Democrats or Republicans? Because you've been brainwashed into that. And also because they do take anybody else that's going to be a real challenge and make it so they can't debate. They stifle them because of the money situation, because the way everything is set up right now, it's all about money. You have to have money to run a campaign. If you don't have money, you can't campaign. So, yeah, exactly as Alan says, right wing, left wing, same bird. Totally, completely. More and more people are waking up to that, though, and Republicans don't stand for Republican values now, not at all. It's not even close. Today's Republicans are yesterday's Democrats in reality, as far as the way that it's come about. And really, they're all globalists. It's just one's being open, a little bit more open about it, and the other one is being globalist in a subversive way, but still working for the same corporations, the same companies, because that's where they take their donations from. And Chris says politics are a distraction. Yeah, they sure are. I mean, if we're arguing over, these different people, these different cast of characters that we've seen in there, and we see, Michael Obama kissing Pappy Bush, lovingly all the time. We see them all out golfing together, and having fun together. It's all a show. They're an actor, as JF says. Trump is an actor, and there was a really good video done on that. It was equating it to, have you ever seen Trump in the WWE? When he's interacted with the WWE in the past? I mean, it's an act. It's an act. And I could tell he's acting. He's most definitely acting. Oh, Mary says, who did I work for? I worked for the Mellons. And the Mellons are one of the families. And they treated people like slaves, but then they also definitely dangled a lot of good carrots in front of you. So, it was one of those things where you could do really well for yourself as long as you were a great slave. And so, but that's pretty typical. And they did think of themselves as being way, way, way above everybody else. I mean, you could tell there was most definitely an air of we're all sheeple, and they are the only ones with true power and true understanding. And yes, this is totally right. It's all about, that's so true. That they run DC, they run both parties. So, it's a ping pong ball. It goes back and forth between them. Democrats, Republicans. Throw them all out. That's my personal opinion. And look to the smaller parties if we must. But is that even going to work? I don't know. I think we need to get out of the system completely as much as possible.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do, is just get out of the system, do the best you can, and it's like someone says here, sadly, most do not know they are slaves. Existence mind. Yes, that's true. A lot of people don't know that they're slaves because they haven't woke up to what they're being exposed to. And then at some point, even if you do wake up to it, you're still stuck in the system until you find a way out. That's kind of how many, many, many people are stuck in the system until you, I heard someone earlier call it, sorry, I can't make it to the live, you guys. I have forced labor today. That was really cute.
I do think Trump's going to win in 2020. And, my guess is he's the last president, quote unquote, of the United States as we know it. That's my guess. I've always felt that that's been his purpose, is that he's coming in to, it's going to be the end of the U.S. as we know it. And I expect that to be probably 2024, somewhere right around there, That's Trump's purpose. He's Nero, I see him as Nero in so many ways. And Rome burned under Nero, and I think the U.S. is going to under Trump. That's the intuition side going there. So, and believe me, I didn't want Hillary, because I felt like if Hillary got in there, we would already be burning, so I felt like there were two bad choices. But I felt with Trump, at least it gave us some years to work with and then hope that there could be real change. Because I do think that if the powers that be got Hillary in there, I think we would have already had WW3. But I do think that's still on their agenda, though. They have always been trying to make a WW3, and I think it'll come about with Trump at the helm. So I don't think we have to wait too long to see this. I think it's going to start probably 2021, and somewhere in that range. Yeah, she what is face planting? That's when you're walking and all of a sudden they just pass out or just drop dead on the street. So we have to look at this and see it for what it is. These politicians are all bought and paid for, all of them. And I know there's so many people that want so desperately to believe. There's a need to believe, there's a need to believe and to hope that there's really somebody that's going to make a difference. But, inevitably we keep marching towards that same ultimate outcome, which is we lose more and more of our rights every single year, every single presidency. Have we lost more rights under the Trump regime? Yeah. Did we lose more under Obama? Yeah. I mean, it just keeps going. When Bush got in there with the hanging chads and everything got stepped up to a new level. And so, again, it's the secret societies, that control both parties.
They do. There's these are puppets, our politicians that we have here. And I know a lot of people might be in a position where you feel like you have to vote. And at one point I was around people that made me feel like I absolutely had to vote. And just to keep the peace, I went ahead and voted. But you got to be true to yourself. I think the voting is feeding the beast. I think it's feeding the machine. I don't think we should, because it's all garbage. We're gonna garbage in, garbage out, no matter what. By the time they get in there, they're corrupted. Maybe at one point they were good people, but not after they're in.
Jerry, I think that you that sent me that really long one, the email. I did read it. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it was pages and pages long, full of good stuff, and pretty accurate stuff. I would agree. I will dig that up, and that would be something to talk about, because there was a lot of good info in there. So, Great Epiphany says, God has a plan, keep praying, God listens. Yeah, Jerry. Okay, yeah, I'm going to dig it up and see what we could go over with everybody in it, because it had a lot of good stuff in there. It really did. I think, and, I know it's not popular thought with everyone, but I do think we live in a free will universe, and I think that's why we see what we have. because it's a free will universe. There are probably some rules, and that's probably why they have to disclose what they're doing, even if it's negative. Obviously super negative what's going on now. But I think it is free will, and I think you do have some that impose their will on others, and we see that. And I think there's been an awful lot of beings out there that have portrayed themselves as something that they're not. And there's so much evidence to that fact, of interference with interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, all sorts of different beings. Most definitely. Well, getting back to this, so we see over here, it's this CV, this virus is hitting. Well, it's hitting some of the makers and breakers here. You see the Slovak Prime Minister Pellegrini cancels schedule due to illness. It's thought that he has the coronavirus. That Iranian general that we looked at, I think it was last night, we were looking at it in the live. He's the one that got bumped up to take over the place of the one that got bumped off. And so, when you think of that, so you remember the strike that killed that Iranian general. Well, it was his replacement that got sick now with the virus as well. So, yeah, that makes me super, super suspicious.
Yeah, that is pretty suspicious. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I'm curious about this one, and we'll keep following these things, and we'll keep updating you guys. This is so interesting, and I'm really glad that we have this recorded too, so we can go back and kind of watch it all unfold, because it's definitely something that's being pushed by whoever, the puppet masters. We can't really see who's behind this, because there's so much disinformation out there. It's really hard to discern right now. And that's why we really have to take care of ourselves, though. We can't count on these people to take care of us. We just can't.
Exactly. So we need to pull together. So guys, thank you so much for your support as always, and on Ko-Fi and Patreon as well. Keep preparing, be ready. Maybe we do only have a couple more days, maybe a week, before we're at that point here in the US where the shelves are starting to get bare and people are starting to realize this thing's not going away so quick. And let's not let panic settle in, most definitely.
Most definitely. You guys, God bless and namaste.
God bless, guys. Stay safe.